Now, I was one of them people that felt like Denver had disrespected Carmelo Anthony by letting Joker wear the number 15 and not retiring Melo's number. And Denver, being that he put in a lot of work and with the Denver Nuggets, getting them to their first Western Conference Finals, and basically just being the young superstar at the time and taking all of the hits that was going on with the organization and all of the things that George Karl was doing behind the scenes to make Melo look bad. And Melo never spoke no ill will about George Karl during that time. He took everything like a superstar was supposed to take it on the chin. He didn't pass off no burden to no other players. And that's what a young star is supposed to do. He kept his head down, played basketball. Even when George Karl tried to turn teammates against each other during that time, Melo still came in and was a professional and got the job done, right? Now, a lot of people didn't know that until Kenyon Martin and Chauncey Billups and AI and those guys spoke out about what was really happening in that locker room during that time. And if it wasn't for that leadership of Chauncey Billups, the locker room could have went to dirt, because you had a young J.R. Smith there who was also good. He was streaky, but he was good. You know, J.R. Smith always been the type of guy who can heat up and get buckets and score the basketball. That was always his bread and butter. I think J.R. Smith let the celebrity part of being an NBA player get to him, because his career could have been way more better. I mean, his skill set, his talent. I think J.R. Smith could have been a star, or at least on a star level, maybe borderline superstar level, if he prioritized basketball more during his stint, right? But it's not about J.R. Smith. It's about how the rift and the effects of George Karl broke that team up, and it became very toxic, and that's when Melo pretty much forced his way out of Denver. He would have been, could have been a Laker, I think, at some point, and then he could have been in Brooklyn, ended up in New York. So I think the Knicks is probably the most feasible destination for his jersey to get retired. I know it's not the 15, but he put in a lot of work wearing number 7 in his city of New York. And you know, New York appreciated Melo a lot during his time there, even though Phil Jackson also did him dirty and trying to force him out, and ultimately got him out in New York. But he put in a lot of buckets there, pretty good playoff runs, except for that disaster against the Indiana Pacers in the second round. Wasn't all his fault. It was, a lack of help and things of that nature. But also getting to this point that I do think that hurt Melo from being mentioned as a in that all-time great, being top 10 all-time great, on the NBA, like in the NBA, as far as on people list, on the all-time great list. That's what probably kept Melo from cracking the top 10. Obviously, Melo is very skilled. It's hard to argue with his body of work. It could have been better. I think if he would have retired on his own times, he would probably have been higher in all-time points too, because Melo was a walking bucket, man. And that's unfortunate that he didn't go out on his own time. He had to retire because he got blackballed. And Denver, it all started in Denver, but they couldn't, turn off his light. And even with the situation that happened later on with the NBA and being blackballed, they didn't turn off Melo light. It's just that Melo just decided, hey, maybe retirement was best for him. Maybe he was ready. Only Melo knows whether he was ready or not. And I think that hurt him from being mentioned the all-time top 10 great players, far as being mentioned on people's list. But he's definitely in that top 20 sector. You could probably have Melo at 20, maybe at 15 in those lower teens, maybe high teens, depending on who you're talking about, what you're looking for as far as lists. Which brings me to the point with Karl Malone, right? He was second all time in points behind Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at the time. So, and he's not even mentioned in the top 10 either, as far as all-time great players. So you gotta think about it, that metric too. But Melo, he's not top 10 all-time great, but he's definitely in the top 20. I just think he would have been much higher in my opinion without the black ball. Yeah, and it's gonna be much more satisfying for me as watching Melo play with the Knicks, not being a Knicks fan but enjoying him playing for the city. I think the number 7 being retired is way more deserving. It's way more heartfelt from the fans and the city, and I think it will outdo anything that Denver could have ever done for him as far as retiring his jersey. I'm sure he wants him to retire his jersey, but the disrespect has already been done, and Joker look like he's gonna get that number retired with his name on the back of it. So that is that, unfortunately. But yeah, Melo, all-time great. I just feel like the 7 trumps the 15 at this point.